You're listening to Lead Through Strengths, where you'll learn to apply your greatest strengths at work. I'm your host, Lisa Cummings, and I'm always telling you, it's hard to find something more energizing than using your natural talents every day at work. Well, something that's just about as energizing as when I get to hang out with my other host here in the room, Tyann Osborne.
Hi.
Today, the topic is, stuff that happens at work that is a little weird or awkward, things that make you go, And that thing, it's a ridiculous callback to Arsenio Hall. That's way back. Yeah. What if that thing is, hey, Ty, why does my manager keep giving me all the tasks that I hate?
I think it's because they hate you. No, they don't hate you. That's what we're going to talk about today.
But this is a real thing.
This does happen. This happens all the time.
I actually have an uncle who said from his corporate experience, shout out to Alan, he said that if you are doing a task that you can't stand, but you're the one who does it the best in the office, he's like, well, the next time they need to get that thing done, who are they going to come to get the thing done? You, the one who did it the best.
Right.
So I do think this can happen because people get known for things that they don't even like, but they haven't worked on their career brand.
Right.
They haven't talked to their manager about what they do like or hope for more of in their development.
Right.
And I think that is one of the reasons. Like, you're really good at something that you don't like.
Absolutely. This happens all the time. This has happened to you and me. This happens to our corporate clients all the time, and in very innocuous and, there's no diabolical plot usually behind this. And especially when you're more junior in your career, where you might not feel like you can say, I don't really want to do this, or I don't really like this. And here's what happens too. And I tell clients this, oftentimes when you're smart, you can do a lot of things and do it in a very proficient way. And actually your end product can be pretty good. And then guess what? Because you did a pretty good job at that, next time they have that horrible spreadsheet that needs to be done, you did a pretty good job. So you're going to get known as the horrible spreadsheet person.
And you don't want to be if you're a hard worker,
yeah,
and you don't want to be the whiner complainer,
right?
You don't want, the purpose of this episode isn't to say, we are going to empower you to go tell your leaders all of the things that you just don't like. I mean, it's so inconvenient to do these things they don't like.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not the takeaway from this section at all. That's a career limiting move, by the way.
So high risk conversation. Yeah. But it would be less risky to figure out a way to describe the stuff you do want more of, that you would like to grow into.
Yeah. So Lisa's got a great term that she uses about career shaping and job shaping. So we're going to talk to you about how to lean your job more toward the things that you do like, and how maybe to get away from some of these legacy things that kind of seem stuck to your shoe that you can't quite shake.
Oh, that's a good way to say it.
Or how to avoid that thing, or if you're in that, just what can you do? So we'll give you some tips both ways. So how to lean more toward the stuff you want, and how to get out of this position of some stuff that you don't like.
Yeah. And I think the simplest concept for the gum on your shoe, that's a good one, is it starts to fade away from assignments if you continue to get known for the things that you do want. Now, I call this concept, don't expect your managers to be mind readers, because it's easy to they should know that that's a horrible thing, the horrible spreadsheet task. They should know I hate that.
How would they know?
No. And what you call it, something else, what do you call it?
I call it the psychic method doesn't work. Even though we might try to prove this over and over. So, and here's the deal too. We see the world through our own eyes, because that's the lenses we were given, right? And we tend to think everything I hate, everyone else hates the same thing. And everything I like, everyone else likes the same thing. But that's not how the world works. And certainly in the strengths world, we find there's all kinds of different things. So just because you like something or dislike something, somebody else has a completely different set of likes and dislikes. So if you secretly hate that thing you're working on and you don't ever say anything, guess what? How would anybody know that? Especially if you keep doing a really good job at it.
Yeah.
And you never say anything. And then they're like, hey, Lisa, good job on that spreadsheet. And you're like, okay,
thanks. Great. I'm a hard worker and I keep getting more of this stuff piled on that I don't like.
And think about this. What if you have a lot of achiever and responsibility in your top themes?
I had a client example recently where she led through responsibility and she was on a big global project, all people in all time zones. And she thought it was really important to get people synced up, that someone would capture the initial conversation. This is basically a note-taking thing. So she asked, who would like to volunteer?
Okay, usually the answer is going to be no one.
That is pretty much what happened. Podcasts don't go well with long cricket silence, but that's what happened. It was kind of like, no answer.
She probably felt like she had to do it.
So she did. She leads through responsibility. She can't let a ball drop. She was like, I'll take it. So she takes it. And she said she found herself time after time after time taking it. And she was new to the company and new to the role. And 6 months in, she said, do you know my career brand here is I'm the team secretary. And she feels like it was that one decision that led to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And now that's how they see her.
And now for her branding exercise, she has to undo all of that, which is a much more difficult spend.
Our memories are long.
Yeah. So that's going to be a whole ball of work just to undo, just to get her back to neutral. Because then we have to replace all that with something else. Yeah. I mean, it can be done, but that's just a harder way to go.
I think that's actually a good one for the example of what you were talking about. Like there's the, how do you unwind from what you don't like and then build into what you do like? Now, if you imagine this person, if she needed to walk around and say, by the way, I don't like note taking. By the way, I'm not a secretary. By the way, that's not really what I want. I'm so much more. That would not go well. That would be awkward.
Seems a little awkward.
It would seem whiny and bizarre.
Yeah.
But if instead she starts really knocking it out on these other 3 things that are a big deal, and then over time, it doesn't take that much time, but over time, she gets known for other things, that fades away into a distant memory.
Right.
And that is a path that is much more doable. And I like to give clients a script that is like a starting place for a conversation. Even if it is this, hey, I just listened to this podcast episode and they got me thinking about what I would love the most to grow into next in my role. So it made me think, let's imagine, give me another talent theme that she has besides responsibility.
Okay, let's say she also has communication.
Okay, so she also leads through communication, and the team's doing a project where they need to roll it out to a bunch of end users who aren't really going to love it. And it's going to take some real change management effort.
What? Clients don't always love what you have to roll out? Sometimes there's change management.
And imagine how many people wouldn't like that. You know, I have to go out and convince a bunch of other people to do the thing. Like most people go, I don't want to do the dog and pony show. I just want to make the great thing. And then if they build it, they will come, right? No, you need people who lead through communication, who can spark momentum and get other people excited about it and communicate the benefits of it and get out there and spread the message and recruit other messengers. This kind of stuff that would be really fun to her would be loathsome to other people. So if she comes around now and says, I just listened to this podcast, it got me thinking about things I'd like to grow into. I know we have this problem right ahead of us. If you see a part of that project where I could contribute my communication talent theme to be this spark of momentum, I would love to help with that. So I just want to put it out there. If you see this opportunity, I hope you'll think of me.
Absolutely.
Any manager would love to hear that.
They're probably like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, because I was cringing inside thinking, how are we going to get all the engineers on board or whatever it is? And hey, now that you've been working, pan global, you know all these people in all these different regions, we can really tap into that. So what she didn't do was go around and whine about it. So I would say, from personal experience, not the best approach. So she didn't put on her t-shirt, here's all the things I hate about my job. Again, not the best approach. And she didn't go to her manager with an ultimatum. Like, if you don't give me this, I'm going to fire, be I'm going to quit or whatever. That's not also good. What she did do is offer up something that she would like to be known for, she would like to lean into. And even in this case, she might not be saying, I have all this experience in this area. It sounded like she was saying, I would like to get experience in this area. So that means I might not be great at it first rattle out of the box. I might, need to partner up with someone or whatever. But it's a great way for her to lean into something as opposed to just leading with, here's what I hate about my job, which would be great. And, here's what's funny too, because here's this task now that she loathes, but there is someone else out there, I promise you, who would love the opportunity to do the thing that she hates. This is what's so hard for us, because remember, everything that we hate, we think everyone else hates too. But there's someone else out there who maybe, funny enough, maybe they also have communication, but theirs shows up in a written form. Maybe they are not the extroverted person out there in terms of extroverted catalytic change. Maybe they are, they are more introverted. They like the details. They want to keep everybody abreast through this great written form. Could be all kinds of things, but there's somebody else out there who would love this. And so a great, really well-functioning team is able to talk about these things. You've got this great trash to treasure team activity where, again, it takes a little bit of vulnerability, but we can say, here are the top 3 things I love or am looking forward to. Here are the things that I'm kind of ready to pass on to somebody else.
I mean, look at that. Like we love talking with each other and we don't get to the actionable takeaway this fast. Usually this is great. Just that thing that you just described where if you share it as a team, here's an example I had the other day. A guy goes, I introduced trash and treasure sort of thing. Like, what are some things that you really enjoy? And he said, I really like escalation calls.
Which is funny because a lot of other people are like, oh my God, I would hate that.
They thought he had it in the wrong column. And you just get a lot of that. Why?
Why would you want an angry call?
What are you talking about? Like, surely you wrote that on the wrong side. And he's like, I am a deep subject matter expert. I love when there's a big challenge. It's gone. I don't love that customers are flustered, but he's like, I love that it's been too big and hairy for anyone to figure out. And I can come in and I know when they talk to me, it is over. Their frustration is done. He said it's so satisfying to know that there is no escalation after me. It is always solved.
Wow.
And that thing just made him feel so alive. And instantly in that moment, people are like, can I give you mine? Can I give you mine? Can I give you mine? And he is like, in fact, yes, if other things can get off my plate, yes, I would love it if my day were filled with that.
That's brilliant.
Now, it's not always that clean and easy. I mean, you can't just be like, yes, let me give you my worst tasks ever. Because for many on the team, that's their worst call ever. But it works. There are moments.
I love that.
Like that.
I love that. Or if we could find, usually there's somebody on the team who maybe highly analytical, or they have whatever skills, like the Excel skills or the Microsoft project skills. They love, good Gantt chart or whatever. Usually there's somebody who that's their jam. And someone else wants to poke their eye out if that's what they have to do. So wouldn't it be great if you could just shift a little bit so that, hey, maybe I can't just unload this task. Maybe I'm still responsible for it. But hey, Lisa, could I go to lunch with you and you could just give this thing a once over and, make sure I'm on the right path? And you're probably like, that's awesome.
Yes.
And I'll say, I'll buy your lunch. And you're like, you don't even have to do that. I'm excited to help. And I'm like, why would you be excited to help about this loathsome project? But so, those kind of things are easy ways you can ease into it, even if it's not possible for me just to be like, here, Lisa, you take it all.
And I think you're bringing up a nuance that's important, is that you don't just want your manager, the person you report to be the only one who knows what you want to grow into.
Gosh,
now your teammates know new things about you and you know things about them. Maybe then you share with the leader, like, oh, wow, he was so helpful to me in this way. And now he's getting known for the thing that he likes.
Right.
And he's getting more of it. And it really does have this virtuous cycle.
It's a virtuous cycle. My favorite thing about significance, right? Share with each other, what is the thing you love best about your job? Because, in the words of my friend Lisa, notice what works to get more of what works. And so if I don't know what works for you, I can't ever help you get more of that.
Yeah.
And I can't ever point out, because if I keep pointing out, man, your spreadsheet looks really good. And you're like, oh my God, I hate that thing. I am going to go to my grave and have that spreadsheet etched on my tombstone. And you never once say, I'd really like to do this other thing. So again, coming back to your manager doesn't automatically know what you want, and the psychic method doesn't work, and it doesn't work for your teammates either. So this is where I think being vulnerable, having that psychological safety, and I think also having that concept of just because I say I don't love something doesn't mean I'm saying I hate this, I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to do it poorly. Because again, I don't get to ride my unicorn to work. I don't only get to do the things I want to do all day long. I'm going to approach my work and always do everything with as much integrity as I can. But there are some things I would like to do more of, and probably have more of a knack to do, right?
Good looking out, Ty. Like, don't make your takeaway the refusal of the job, or
don't do
an
that.
Excuse to get out of work, or
don't do that.
Yeah.
But as you know, as we tell with children, you got to use your words. So you got to put it out there, whether you call it the secret or the universe or using your words or whatever. You got to put it out there what you're hoping to do more of.
Oh, and you have to know. You have to decide first.
Yeah.
I mean, strengths. Reading the book Strengths Finder, doing the Clifton Strengths Assessment. These are all helpful things if you've never even thought of, it's not just that I would like more of this skill,
right,
but also how I interact with people. Or like in the communication example, that was more of a how, not a what skill thing. It was like, I like to build momentum. I can ask my manager for things that require momentum building. That's not something that they've probably ever thought of using as an assignment criteria. Now they have a whole new realm of things to offer you instead of like that one specific job that you are hoping to move into next.
I think that's actually a really good point, because if you just look at, let me find the magic job title, well, I'll just tell you that's going to be a long, hard search, because that often doesn't exist. But these how skills exist in a lot of places that you might not even realize, right? Mm-hmm. But that's where you can, the more you put out there what you want, the more other people will start to help you and say, there's actually this thing you didn't even know, but they could use you on that project team. And you think, I didn't even know that was a thing. And then, but again, if you just sit there at your cube or now, at your home office, hoping that the magical assignment comes your way and bluebirds into through your window, you're going to be sitting there a long time. So you can have a little bit more control in your life than you might think.
Yeah. So if we bring this all together, I would say one action is you want to have a conversation with the person that you report to.
Absolutely.
And try to find a way to express, here's this thing I would love to grow into. Mm-hmm. And I would love it if you would think of me next time you're considering assignments that relate to X. Mm-hmm. And if you use those how skills.
Absolutely. And by the way, it's perfectly legitimate feedback for your manager to say, okay, I hear you saying that, but you know what? You don't have any of those skills today. That might happen. And then you can have a conversation about, okay, how might I be positioned to get those skills? What would a path look like for that?
Yeah.
That is completely legitimate.
Yeah.
Or for you to look up in the organization somewhere and then just go talk to someone and say, how'd you get here? That's what I kind of interview internal people all the time. Mm-hmm. And just have kind of an informational one-on-one. By the way, people love to talk about themselves, little tip. And people will meet with you all day long for 30 minutes just to tell you their story. And so that's where real growth happens. So I love that. So talk to your manager, because again, psychic method doesn't work there. So that's the first tip, communication.
I would say volunteering the talent out. Mm. So let's say, for example, you lead through learner and input. Mm-hmm. And now your company is implementing Microsoft Teams, but no one out knows how to use it and they're resisting it. Mm-hmm. And you're like, we're going to have to get down with this program because it's going to be the way of the world. Microsoft is embedded in everything we do. We need to figure it out. And so you decide, I'm going to turn on my learner input. I'm going to find all the cool features and things that could make life easier for teammates. And then I'm going to share it with teammates. Absolutely. So then you get an opportunity to get known for what you want more of, because you've decided, I'm going to do it anyway. I can tell it, we're going to have to figure it out. I'm going to turn on my learner and input, which would be fun for me because those are in my top 5. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to use those, volunteer them out beyond myself to help the team and if the team does StrengthsFinder as a team thing, then they know the words learner input, and you're able to say, okay, learner input, I nerded out on this. So I thought you might find this helpful. Here are all the things that I've picked up, and you give them the tip sheet.
I love that. I mean, that's so cool. You've made yourself the super user. And it's not just about you. You've positioned yourself in a way of service to other people. So by the way, anytime you're helpful to other people, they tend to want to come back to you to get more help, which is great because you're killing kind of two birds with one stone. This is great. They're going to be like, oh, that you did such a great job that last time we had this thing. Now we've got to have this, we're going to put in Slack. Nobody here knows anything about it. Can you help us with that? And you would be the person. So I love that. It's volunteering your talent, not, again, sitting at your desk quietly with your head down, waiting for someone to come tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Lisa, I know you're high learner input. So I was thinking maybe here's an opportunity you could do. That's rarely going to happen. It's rarely going to happen. So you have to really keep your eye on the landscape and think, how could I apply my top themes to what's going on here? So kind of got it.
Those are big.
I know.
Those are big. Okay, I have a third one, which would be listen for what people kvetch and complain about. Not to join it.
Yeah.
Again, more career limiting.
Yeah, don't do that.
But if you listen, you can hear, like when Ty was explaining the spreadsheet with doing the VLOOKUPs, she was good at them, but when she remembers this role that she had where she had to spend all day in the spreadsheet doing VLOOKUPs, her nose crinkles up when she says VLOOKUP. Like there's a
Yeah, there's a physical response when you don't like something. Your face, even your body might hunch down a little bit.
Yeah. So watch for that, because let's say I were the teammate. I lead through analytical and deliberative, and I love slicing and dicing data and living in Excel. Put me in Excel all day long. That's my favorite job. When I see her react that way, if I'm listening to other people's responses, both tuning in, even just to watch, but I'm watching, like, oh, I saw your reaction to the VLOOKUP there.
Saw the nose crinkle.
Not your BFF, hon. She's like, no. And then I go, I start to get ideas. I could take that on for you, and maybe you could swap something out with me, or maybe I could give you a shortcut template or something like that where I'm just volunteering it out. But be on watch for things you could swap with others. And when you see others kvetching and complaining, you're often able to see, oh, that thing that I like, not everybody likes that. Oh, that thing that I'm good at, not everyone else is good at it.
Right. I think that's huge. And just thinking about that person with the spreadsheet, maybe there's a meeting they have to go to every week where they have to report out on that spreadsheet. And that meeting causes them no end of angst. They get the pit in the tummy feeling. They get the flop sweat. They go in, and even though they know it front and back, they can't communicate that to save their lives.
Yeah.
And it's miserable for everybody. And you're like, I could talk to those people cold.
That is perfect.
You're like, how about you do the back end, I'll do the front end, and together we are the Ty and Lisa show. Only if it was the two of us, there really wouldn't be a back end. We would just be all front end.
We would be like, to the back, to the back, to the front, but we would only be to the front. To the front, to the front. It would be stuck, a skipping record. To the front, to the front.
We need to have a team. Front. We would need Dina along with us to help round us out. Yeah. So again, psychic method doesn't work. So you got to have that, those conversations. And I think that will really serve you well.
Yeah. So let us know. How did your conversation go? How did you bring it up?
Yeah.
And when you were thinking of the talents that you're trying to lead into, how did you phrase it with your manager? This is a scripting thing that I find a lot of people get stuck on. That's why I like to give that thing where it's like, hey, I've been thinking about what I want to grow into next, or even using this podcast, because at least it's less awkward to say, hey, I was listening to this podcast. I was trying to learn more about being awesome at work. Something that makes you sound like you're continuing to grow.
Right.
I've been putting a lot of thought into this, and it gave me this idea. And then you can offer it out.
And then let us know, and we'll talk about it. Let us know if you try it and it doesn't work either. We'll come up with something else for you. There's more than one way here.
We can have the failure recap show. Like, okay, here's a scripting idea that doesn't work. Don't try this one. This goes back into that high risk category that sits right along with.
Lisa and I laugh about this because we have tried a whole bunch of things that haven't worked before. So we're right there with you on that, and we can help prevent you from having those same experiences.
Yes. And although my stint in HR was very, very short, yours was much more significant. And the time that we got to spend with leaders saying, all right, fire me. Like, be doing the role play. It's going to be an awkward conversation. I am now the person. And then getting them to go through. Scripting things out is tough. And there are so many hard conversations in the workplace. So even these, when you're just trying to talk about yourself without sounding braggadocious.
Right.
That's tough too.
Right.
And it's not even awkward, and you're not telling someone they're about to lose their job or be on a performance improvement plan. It's just simply like, how do I describe something that I might be good at without sounding like an arrogant jerk?
Like a braggy jerk. So it's fine. We, again, it feels a little uncomfortable because we don't have these conversations all the time. So that's where just, you can get a little index card and just literally write this out and then kind of practice in a mirror saying this. You can practice with a friend. You can call a spirit guide to help you out. And the more you do it, the easier it will become. And again, we're not trying at all for you to say, here's the list of things I'm not going to do. This is just how can you lean your career? How can you steer it a little bit more toward the things that bring you energy and a little bit less toward the soul sucker parts of the job?
Yeah. And if you do decide that you want to do this as a team exercise where you're talking about it and you want a facilitator, Ty would be a great one for this. So being able to come in the organization, walk you through that trash and treasure exercise, talking about what fuels you up, even a personal branding exercise for each person on the team. We have one where you walk away with 3 words that describe how you would love to be known and describe how you want to show up in the organization so that you can actually take the time to reflect, because it's hard to carve the time out. And then your teammates can know how you want to be known, and your manager.
That's a cool exercise too, by the way. People feel really good about that.
Yeah. And it feels so good to hear them about each other. Yeah. And it takes away the arrogant. Yeah.
Very affirming. I love that one.
Yeah. Because you're not being awkward or arrogant when some facilitator's asking you to do the exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So give us a ring. Let us know what works for you and if you need help on this process.
All right. With that, we will see you next time. Bye for now.